Chris here with another fresh tip for you all. In this video, we are going to take a look at painting the Satan Shard of the Void Dragon. This is for the Necrons. As you can see, the model has been left in 3 sub-assemblies: the base, the main figure, and of course the little doodad that goes on his back, little Necron-y thing. I don't know what he is. The model has already been primed in Stynylrez Gloss Black, as I'm going to do this in the same fashion in which I had painted the other Necrons in this new release of Necrons. Here I'm just demonstrating. I'm using these little alligator clips to hold on to little bits as I work with the airbrush to apply onto most of the colors onto these areas. Basically, we're going to concern ourselves in this video laying down the main color, which is going to be a nice shiny chrome. So I'm just simply attaching these models so that I can simply grab them and hang on to them and such. I'm going to use Spaztic's Mirror Chrome. This is an enamel-based paint. I'm going to use a Badger Patriot 105, spraying at around 25 psi. Might even be about 20 psi. I find that this flows out of the brush nicely at around 20 psi. It's a very thin paint. No thinners are needed, and as you can see, it lays on very, very fast. And as long as you've prepped the model and have a nice smooth prime as well as nice clean surface to lay the color down, you can see it lays down in a nice shiny chrome paint. Now this, of course, raises the question of what is the best chrome paint out there, and of course I often find it in the realm of enamel-based paints that these metallics and such are the best. And of course there are 3 contenders for that, and Spaztic's I just find the best for our war gaming needs. Here you can see we're simply working our way across the entirety of this guy. I'm not too concerned if I hit the lightning or any other little areas of the model, as this color lays down pretty thin. It's no trouble at all. I spray it from multiple angles, trying not to lay it too heavily, as if you do lay it on just a little bit heavy, it loses a bit of that luster, that nice reflectiveness, and so just do be cautious of that. It really does not take that much to get a nice chromeness. Chromeness, is that a word? I'm not sure, but you can see it's just pretty straightforward. I'm just simply laying this all over, and I'm spraying from multiple angles just to get a nice even coverage on this guy. But here you can see he's all nice and shiny. I'm going to use Pledge. This is bottle's old bottle. It has the old Future logo on it. That was the other previous company when they got bought out. But anyway, I'm going to use a Patriot 105. Again, I'm spraying this at around 20 psi, 20-25 psi. And I'm basically going to just apply this over the chrome part. So on the base here, it's just that little tail bit that gets the varnish, and of course the little doodad that goes on his back, and the main figure himself get a layering of this varnish, and it's a gloss, and so all it does is just protects the metallic and allows us to lay more paint. Now if we did not lay the gloss down, we still could lay paint on top of the chrome. It's just that if we want to do any kind of weathering effects, or if we're wiping away at the surface or anything like that, we can end up marring up the chrome, as opposed to just simply protecting it, and then we can continue on laying down other colors, such as this Null Oil gloss that I'm going to apply. Now when I'm applying this onto the model surface here, anywhere it's a little too heavy, I just simply use my finger and wipe the excess away. This is just to bring definition into the little areas, like on the little spine, those little raised parts of the main spine. I simply wipe that away so that most of the chrome shows through, and really all I'm looking for is just falling into the recesses. I'm not looking for any massive shift in color or tone. Here on the main figure himself, I mainly just do it to the wings and his headpiece. That is pretty much it. I don't touch the body as far as laying the shade wash down onto the body. All I'm looking to do is pick out just some of the little details and nooks and crannies and such on the headpiece and the wings. And again, I don't lay it on too heavily. All I'm looking for is that just to fall into the recesses and pick those edges out, and that is it. As for the main body itself, we'll get to that later on. So we'll set that aside, allow it to dry, and then we're going to come in with some smoke. This is a clear, darker tone from Tamiya. I'm going to use Tamiya's X20A thinner. This is the thinner that you would usually use with this particular paint line to thin these colors down. If in a pinch, you can simply use iso alcohol, but I find iso alcohol just a little too aggressive, and I believe that the X20 is essentially an alcohol derivative, but it is not quite as harsh a dilution or harsh a solution as regular iso. In fact, if you're using iso, you probably would want to do maybe a 60-40. 60 iso to 40 alcohol, or water, I should say, excuse me, clean water. Here, I'm simply just laying this color down on the low points, creating a bit of shadow, and a reason why I'm using smoke in this regard is because it's a transparency, but it's also giving me a slightly darker tone, so I'm spraying it at all the shadowy points and just creating a slight deepening of the tone, but it allows the metallic luster to continue to shine through. So here on the back of the staff, I'm concentrating more of the deeper tones towards the back of his staff, because when we get to it later on, we are going to have that spear tip to be quite bright. Here I'm spraying just on the underside of the head, trying to be very, very careful. And of course, I'm using a Renegade Chrome here to apply this, and I'm spraying it around 15 to 20 psi, somewhere around that, and just very carefully laying that tone in very gently. It's not a lot of tone I'm laying in there. Next, I'm going to use Shading Gray from Golden, and this is a transparency as well. I'm going to continue to use my Renegade Chrome, and I think I'm turning this down to about 15 to 10 psi, somewhere around that. And here I'm just simply using a paper towel just to provide a mask so I'm not hitting those wings. And I just want to build up some deeper tones in some areas, such as underneath the helmet, or underneath his head, and of course there's that curvature in his face, and I want to get some shadow in there. I also build up some shadow in the armpits, as well as just in between his legs. I use my thumb there as a mask just to get just underneath the kneecap. You can see there, and just builds up a nice darker tone. I'm laying just a little bit under the buttocks, as well as under the thighs on the one leg that's bent, building towards a deeper tone underneath the knee. And in a pinch, I mean, you can just simply use your finger just to simply use as a mask. And again, we have the varnish layer, so I'm not too worried about handling the model a little too much. I do have it on those alligator clips, especially when it's drying. That way it's elevated and away from my work surface and everything like that. Here I'm simply laying more deeper tones towards the ends of those wing blades, or whatever they are. And I'm spraying upwards so that it's deeper color underneath, and the raised portion of each of those wings, the blades, is that pure silver, so it's going to remain bright. And of course I lay a little bit more darker tones at the end of the staff. And this little guy, I don't know what he is, I lay a little bit more down towards the center of the spine, and of course the rest of them that continues on down here, I lay a little bit more underneath. Again, it's just simply a transparency on top of that chrome, but the metallic still shines through. I'm going to come back with the Shading Gray here from Golden, and I'm just going to apply a couple drops onto my palette. I'm going to use a generous amount of water on my number 1 brush here, and what I'm going to do is basically just gently glaze in some deliberate shadow points, because I wasn't too confident that the airbrush would catch these areas without hitting other areas, unwanted areas. And so basically I just lay this in underneath some of the muscle groups in his rib cage, as well as his armpit. On the side of his face, I lay it in, and again, I'm just building those tones up to the high point. Again, this is kind of a non-metallic metal theory that I'm applying here. So even though we are using true metallics, I'm basically employing a bit of non-metallic metal technique to these areas. Again, just to create a bit more drama, as it were. Again, it's just concentrating more on the muscle groups and just bringing definition to those things, and just making it all around very, very interesting. But there he is, and that's what I've done to just about all of the chrome areas of the model. Again, this is a similar way I painted the rest of the Necrons in this collection, and as you may not guessed, I am going to paint this guy in that similar fashion, so stay tuned. This is simply part 1. We are going to continue on into the next phase, where we're going to paint the lightning in that little orb thing in his chest. Big thank you to all my patrons. Without their support, these videos would not be possible. If you're considering Patreon support, click the link in the description below, and you're going to be helping me out tremendously. So big thank you. Take care of those brushes, and they will take care of you.